Hello and welcome, Victoria. I'm super excited to have you here again.
Super excited to be here.
So, let's just, let people into our little inside jokes here. So we're kind of sitting here giggling. Well, let people know where in this lovely world you are and what's your business.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I am in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and my business is mainly focused on transcreation. And people might think I don't have the slightest idea what that's about because it's a weird term, but it's basically translation meets marketing meets nuance and copywriting too. So it's kind of a huge blend. And for people to have an idea, it's kind of I developed the nuance method that helps people kind of capture what's really can't be captured by AI or ChatGPT or Google Translate or things like that. Because yes, you might think you can kind of just throw things to that and get it translated and make it work. But reality is, first experience I had was my husband doesn't know English at all. It's just Spanish. And he tries to translate some pages and it's kind of, they are really saying this. They are trying to send me this way. And it's kind of, no, that's all wrong. And it's Google translated. So there are subtle things that cultural nuances just aren't catched by Google Translate. And I have a very funny example ready for you for this coffee chat, that it's Honda, that it's a really big brand. They were trying to enter the Danish market with a car named Fitta. And the thing with Fitta, it means vagina. So for the Danish people. And the worst part of that was that the tagline was small on the outside, big on the inside. So it was a huge, huge mess. And it was Honda. And they didn't do the research. So you can translate whatever you want or try to enter a new market, and it can go really bad. So they were on time to save it, but it doesn't stop there. We also have Kentucky Fried Chicken when they try to enter China. Their slogan was translated as eat your fingers off. And Chinese people really didn't want to eat their fingers. So that also almost crashed. That's the thing with nuance. I think it's kind of, you have to be culture aware of what's going on for cultures before just
because it's not just words, right? And I think it just reminds me when you're talking about the cars. I remember like years ago, there was this whole list of all these, and there was like one car that was called like the whatever Nova. Well, that in Nova in Spanish doesn't really go well for a car, right? And El Pajero, anyway. So it was just like, you think like, wouldn't somebody, because what you do doesn't really make sense for somebody who just wants to figure out what somebody sent them in a WhatsApp message, right? So it's about where nuance matters, right? So what would a typical client look like? Like, what is it that they come to you for?
They come to me because, for example, there are wellness brands and coaches that want to launch their info products or their services in Spanish, and even they are missing some pieces of the funnel that are kind of key here in Latin America, for example, or same in Spain, that it's kind of using WhatsApp, for example, as you said, in the US, it's not so popular yet. And so they think, well, we have this funnel that it's crashing it, we will just Google translate it and we will Google translate every email. And it's kind of, no, you can't. You need kind of SMS, you need WhatsApp, you need to be on social media, you need to build authority, you need to do a lot of things, not to discourage anyone, but you need to have another kind of pieces and elements on your funnel that may be missing. Because, for example, for the US market, people are more open to be kind of sold to. They're kind of, buy this and you will have this, and here it's more aspirational. It's kind of, we want to see kind of the life we can have, I don't know, I can buy this house for my mom, I can go on vacation with my family. It's more lifestyle, and it's not just someone pushing me a product and it's kind of, I don't know who you are, I won't buy from you. It's the whole process, and I think that's where nuance comes in.
Yeah, it's a whole cultural thing, right? It's just, it's not just that, because I think that's the piece that I think people often don't really realize is until you've lived in a different country, it's like you don't even know how much different, how many things are different.
That's
And
right.
there's so many little things, even just sort of in regular life, where you go, well, okay, even, how do people pay for a meal at a restaurant? In one place, the Germans will pay, everybody pays their own. Like somewhere else, it's like, oh no, it's going to be all split equally. And, and there's so many little nuances in how and if you get that wrong, getting into a different market, like you're toast.
No, you're absolutely toast. And as you said, it's an excellent example. For example, in Brazil, I went on vacation forever when I was little. And the first time we went there, my father wanted to tip kind of the waitress because he was awesome. And he got angry because it was included in the meal. And they don't take kind of separate money from what you are already paying. And my father was kind of, no, please take it. And the man got really angry and almost it almost went into a fight, and it was kind of, what's wrong with this man? And it was kind of, someone said, a local told him, hey, we don't do that here. It's kind of, no, it's included.
Yeah. And there's so many things. Like I remember like being where was it? I think somewhere in Asia where it was like, oh no, you've got to, I was trying to buy something, right? And she goes and she says the price, it was dirt cheap. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. And she goes, no, you've got to haggle. And I'm like, I don't want to haggle, just take it. No, no, no. Like it's no fun if you don't haggle, right? And there's just so many things that aren't just the words,
That's right.
And I think it's always, and it isn't even about like, okay, translating and kind of going beyond the actual literal phrase. It's sometimes you might even have to throw out the entire mechanism that you use in the US to sell your services and take a whole different approach, maybe even package your offers differently. And I think that's what I find so fascinating about what you're offering is like, it's not just about the words. It's like, okay, how are we going to, here's the thing we're selling, how are we going to make this work over there so that culturally it fits in and it speaks to the right people in the right way, because there's so much more to it and all the, and you're a bit of a geek too, aren't you?
Yeah, that's perfect because, for example, you made me remember there was a coach that reached out to me, and she was selling, I think a program was about mortgages and that kind of stuff in the US. And it was kind of, that isn't an issue here because we don't do that. Just in Latin America, or we buy it or we rent it, but we don't kind of spend years paying kind of parts of the house and getting into debt, and we don't operate that way. It's kind of, you have to make a whole another program if you want to sell here, and we had to work on that. So yeah, things can get completely switched.
Yeah. So in your experience, like what makes somebody want to, because like I'm sort of thinking, okay, moving into, obviously Hispanic market, like Spanish speaking market is massive, right? But it's also like, yeah, it's complicated, especially when it's not like in your background somehow. Like what does make people, what's the reason people feel they kind of want to expand into that area?
They want to go, you mean, into the Spanish market?
Yeah.
That's right. It's mainly because there is a huge opportunity, I think, here, mainly for coaches and wellness brands, because there is a lot of openness, I think, to mindfulness and that kind of thing. And people are kind of needing an extra thing that it's not just kind of the material world. People are opening more to that. And we are really open to it, but it all depends on how you come to people. And I think that's where they find me, because when they try to just go and sell as they do in the US, it's kind of no, and especially not at those rates, because it's no. So they have to switch a lot of things, and I think there is a lot of opportunity here because there are not enough good coaches.
Yeah.
At least in Latam. So I think there is a huge
market. There is a massive opportunity. Now that, correct me if I'm wrong, I would think if somebody plans to think like, oh, actually expanding into that market would be a good idea, like, would you say they should rather come to you sooner than later?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a really blue ocean for now, but it can get red really soon. Because the thing that I believe here, we have kind of what they call kind of viveza. We are kind of quick to kind of do things and launch things, maybe not perfect, but it's kind of massive imperfect action, we like to say. And we are kind of all the time moving and doing things, but maybe it's not the best. So if someone comes from the US, for example, and has a really good program and is a code and it's certified and everything, they have a lot of opportunity here.
But see, I also think where I was going with it was more like in the process of, okay, let's enter that market instead of sitting there trying to figure out all their strategy and then get you into translate. Like, I think it would be better to get you in early when they just have the thought to say, hey, you know, what do you, I mean, I think it will be almost like before I'd come to you before I even think about it. You know, before I even start, because that's the thing, is like I can put I'm moved to different countries more than once. So I know that like when you go in and haven't got a clue, you put your foot in a million different ways, right? So I think when you have the idea, I think that's the time to come have a chat, right? Because then you can, instead of building kind of Spanish funnels and things to then realize that whole product makes no sense over there. You know, so I think the sooner you get that input, the better it'll be.
It would save them a lot of time, to have the conversation first, validate that what they have really could work here, and then build it from there. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, now, if somebody thinks, well, that makes a lot of sense, where would they go and find you and get in touch with you?
I am on LinkedIn mainly, because I have my website also, it's working, it's lotuscopy.com, but it got hacked a few days ago. So I am getting it. It's working now, but it's kind of a basic page. But on LinkedIn, I am always there. So that's a good spot.
So basically get in touch with you and have a chat and see, you know, what would be the perfect next step then. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're tagged in here, so you'll be easy to find.
Thank you so much for this. It was
thank
awesome.
you so much. Thank you so much. And yeah, I can't wait to have you back with some more funny stories.
Absolutely. I have a ton of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.